First thing this episode, I'm doing the other half of Pac-Man World. As I said last time, I'm into new territory now, starting with the funhouse area and clowning around. I jump across some spinning platforms, hit a switch to raise some more platforms to create a staircase, get a cherry from a chest and backtrack to open its door for the first P of this episode. In the very next area I get defeated by the concept of the moving switch and rocket myself to my death. The switch on the last of these platforms gives me the melon I need to open the door for the first A. In a later area, a blue switch rotates a platform allowing me to get to the C. This level also has these annoying bumper car enemies that can only be killed by rev rolling off the edge of a level. This one nearly gets me killed. At the top of this ghost covered staircase is a switch creating a dot chain that gets me the M. I pass some spinning platforms with switches that each give a fruit and swap one of them for the second A at the end. After that is pressing 3 switches while dealing with bumper cars to lower some stairs. At the top of them is the Galaxian door. Some more spinning platforms and the ship is in a chest at the end. The gimmick of this maze is blocks that open and close to block off certain paths, but they do it so infrequently it never ends up being a problem, and I do this one without dying once. I pass through a few floors of cannon fire and after I'm out I open a melon door for the end. Right next to that is the goal. The funhouse bonus stage has me jumping across balloons acting as very small platforms while trying to get the fruit. For some reason here I just stopped and ran out of timer, but I don't remember why since I'm writing this 3 months after recording it. Level 2 of this area is Barrel Blast. First thing I do is work my way up these platforms to get a strawberry to swap for the P. The developers must have thought this part with the clown faces blowing steam was hard, so they put a chrome power up in the door before it, but it looks pretty easy to time it. The invincibility is appreciated though, so I can just ignore them and get up quicker. Instead I just get hit by every bit of steam going through this tube. On the other end of it is the first A in a chest. I find the door with the C in it, but I don't have a strawberry to open it. I then perform what I'd say is my most incompetent act in any game done so far. I didn't even try not to land on a burning platform. The strawberry is on the other side and I go back and get the C. The M isn't much further away, it's by these conveyors. And right after them is the Galaxian door. As usual, the ship is only a tiny bit further on. Next to it is a switch that creates some stairs to continue the level, but now it's time for the maze. This one has the same gimmick of paths opening and closing, nothing else really to say about it. Continuing on, the second A is in a chest out in the open in front of a checkpoint, and could someone tell me why I just bounced backwards off this platform? Across that gap is a switch that bounces you into some steam. I thought it was just a coincidence, so I tried it again, and it happened again. It's actually for returning the elevator to take it to the top. At first I thought it was just a trap. Across the top of this burning tunnel I traded a banana for the end. I also hit this blue switch to create a dot chain to a bell. I get it and open the bell door for the key. The level isn't over just yet, there's still these conveyors with faces blowing steam across them, followed by some spinning tubes, the scariest rev roll ever, another scariest rev roll ever, and finally the end of the level. Gotta be honest, that last section was a bit of a pain. Nowhere near Manic Minds level though, thankfully. This time I actually tried the bonus stage. The third level here is Spin Dizzy. I pass by the door with what I assume is the P seconds after starting. I go down this set of stairs with loose steps and find the fruit at the bottom, so I go back up and get the E, it's just a life. By the way, I forgot to mention it last time, but I love how Pac-Man acts as if he's on a tie prop on any kind of moving platform regardless of size. After setting off these spinning platforms, I find a cherry and backtrack to open the door that actually has the P. Going back and hitting the switch puts toss in front of the steam blowers, revealing that there's something up there. It leads me to some balloons that lead me to the first A. Continuing on, I accidentally suicide bounce an enemy and it takes me a while to get back. This level's surprisingly long. Despite that effort, I get myself killed 10 seconds later trying to get this chest. That fruit is worth it. The door is right next to it. It has a switch that creates a dot chain that takes me to the C. One more room of spinning platforms and I finally reach a long overdue checkpoint. I'm so thankful for it too, considering what happened right after. The next area has the Galaxian door. This level isn't badly designed, but it's just so long and at this point it's starting to overstay its welcome. I press a switch to shift all this crap out of the way, and I discover that these crushers stay on top of you long enough to damage you twice. Getting back up I second guess myself on where the crusher is going to land and get myself killed by that same one. On the way back I get caught by this one on its way back up and launched into the sky. Not high enough to skip this section sadly. Doesn't matter though because I fuck up and bounce into the side of the crusher into the gap between, and then killed by the very next one. When I finally get past it I find the Galaxian ship. Same gimmick in this maze too, moving blocks, moving on. I swear I managed to get past the crushers a second time without dying 15 times. Instead I end up catching the corner of a Spadoni trying to bounce in it and get rolled into the void. After getting my third or fourth spinning platform room with clown faces blowing steam in my 23rd minute on this level, I really just want it to end. Going on I find the fruit and backtrack to trade it for the M. A little bit later I find the fruit door with the second A. Finally things are speeding up. I also fall right through the floor here. Okay, I changed my mind. I actually hate this level. Especially when the next area is yet another spinning and steam room. Been in half an hour and I'm still not done. There's still this fruit door with the end behind it. Trying to find the fruit I get burned and then crushed to death. I had 16 lives when I started this level. And I get this bit with spinning platforms separated by gaps dragging me towards a burner with these plane assholes flying towards me whenever I try and jump over the gaps. Finally I get that melon and the end. Still got another of these sections though. When I got to the end and this happened, I could have destroyed something. Turned out all that switch did was reverse the movement of the platforms. See me not moving? Shown here is my total despair. Thankfully I only have to go back half the way to a platform that brings me to Pac Baby, and then finally, the goal. I'd pushed this level out of my head since playing it, and watching it back again I remember why. At least it's not Manic Minds is the best thing I can say about it. Also at least I only had to play it once. I see off Pack Baby and into the boss, Clown Pre. This boss fight is actually a car race. I start in 16th place and of course have to finish first. I don't start off that great, missing a load of power pellets that would have given me a boost. The worst was missing every one of this line of them. Then the camera screws me and gets me to drive off the track. Second time around I jumped from 11th to 4th place just going around the corner. I suppose everyone drove themselves into the abyss off screen. Then I end up pushing 3rd and 2nd place off. Then 1st place gets caught on a railing and I'm not seeing him again. But then I fuck up turning and get myself killed. It very nearly happens again. Thankfully everyone else being dead gives me time to make turns more carefully. And I win. A bit anticlimactic since there was no one else left on the track. Next world is the factory, starting with Perilous Pipes. I start this level with no extra lives, but thankfully it gives me 2 close at the beginning. I find the P in this fruit door hidden away at the bottom. The next fruit door hides a switch that blows up this block to reveal a elevator that leads me down to the first A. Rev rolling over a gap leads me to the Galaxian door, the ship being a bit further than usual, past the checkpoint even. It's quite a trek back and for the majority of it I'm a hit from death. The thing with this maze is steam pipes. Only notable thing here is me getting hit by Pinky, grabbing the power pellet and eating it on the exact same moment. When I'm out I get ricocheted off the level by a rev roll only enemy. Hitting the switch near it makes a C appear. Then I press a switch to make the M appear where I can't reach it, so I try to get it by bouncing off this enemy, but that just gets me killed. Of course I get it the first time I try after dying. Then this enemy somehow nudges me off the level. The game seems to know when I'm in trouble though, since getting right past the area I find another extra life. Very close to this, the second A is floating high up, needing this platform. Moving on I find the end in a hidden underwater section. This level turned out another long one, at nearly 20 minutes, but it didn't feel anywhere near as long as Spin Dizzy. Not repeating the same kind of section so many times helped. The factory bonus stage has me using these magnet platforms to find fruit. The second level is Under Pressure. By the way, these enemies are a pain. It's very hard to book bounce without getting hurt. This bit of genius is just my own fault though. This ghost and spawning where I'm standing isn't though. Regardless, this door has a switch that creates a dot chain leading to a power pellet that runs out the moment before I was about to avenge myself. The next dot chain actually helps me out though and takes me to the P. Next fruit door has a switch that starts dropping dots and eventually the first A. There are 2 more switches that do this, but they drop lives instead. This level is kinda tedious. It doesn't sound like much has happened, but at this point I'm 8 minutes in. There's a lot of conveyor belts with crushers and those steam pipes I'm skimming over. Eventually I get some stable flooring and the Galaxian ship right next to the door. This time the steam is coming from the floor instead of the pipes. I had no trouble with this one. After I leave there's a conveyor with the C at the end. I'm glad it doesn't drop me into the checkpoint. If I'd have missed the C and had to restart the entire level I wouldn't have been very happy. Next up is this underwater area where I'm avoiding sharks and boiling pipes. In here is another chrome power up that doesn't get me much. Instead I have to navigate a load of pipes on another path to reach the M. Once I'm out, the first elevator takes me to the second A. Trying to get it does get me killed by steam though. Pressing this switch makes this boiler burst its pipes, creating a ramp up to the next area. It leads me to some bedongs, it bounces me to a bell door containing the N, and then finally the goal. Glad to be out of that one. Nice music though. Third is down the tubes. First thing is to get this cherry to make a chain and the P appear back at the start. Back up the bedongs and I run into the Galaxian door already. This time the ship's out in the open a bit further on. This maze is back to steam coming from pipes. The first A is also out in the open, just need to drop between these 2 platforms. Now, I don't mind backtracking to fruit doors containing letters, but don't make me go back a while just for some dots. In the next area I see Pac-Man Jr. in a cage, but I still don't have the key yet, so I hit this switch, turn chrome and find a C after it runs out. Instead I find this chrome power up and break up in the chest below for the N. This chrome power up to get this banana, to get this chrome power up to get this peach and the M, to get this bell and also this cherry to get yet another chrome power up, to get another peach, to get another chrome power up to get the A. Now to use that bell to get to the switch that makes the key appear, free Pac-Man Jr. and leave. These levels weren't bad, but the last 2 I feel were too long, about 20 minutes each. My son is a disrespectful little shit that won't look at me when I talk to him, and the boss is Chrome Keeper. It's a big googly-eyed robot kicking crates at me. To damage it I have to press all 5 switches down as Chrome Pac-Man and do it quick before one pops back up. Also have to avoid the magnets while Chrome or they'll just waste my time. That's it really, I've just got to do that 8 times, his pattern never changes. This leaves me at 74% and 1 world to go, the Mansion World, starting with Ghost the Garden. After a lot of jumping over floating coffins, a blue switch creates a dot chain that takes me to a bell right above the door that gives me the P. Right next to it I drop down here and find the Galaxian ship, the door being past this row of coffins. The hazard in this one is these rotating flamethrowers. They can be a bit tricky to deal with since Pac-Man runs faster than they move, leaving me fidgeting back a couple times, and when ghosts are closing in it can be trouble. Once I'm out I find the first A floating above some coffins. More coffin jumping later I press a switch making a bell appear and get the M. Where's the C? Quit level, start again. Turns out I missed even more coffins over here with the C above them. Except I game over right after thanks to the coffin time screwing me and I got Tockman laughing at me. Another 13 minutes later I'm back to where I was. Other side of the hill has this second A in a box and the end is on this hill further on, right next to the level's goal. Thanks to the restart and game over, this one took me 42 minutes. This final bonus stage has me pressing switches to make fruit float around these disappearing coffins. You can time it right by just going in the square. Next is Creepy Catacombs. The P is 2 minutes in off the side here above some coffins. A switch behind a peach door opens up a hole that leads to the first A. Continuing down, the Galaxian ship is in the far back where I can't reach it. Same with the door. The switch at the end gets them all moving and it lets me get the ship and enter the maze. This one is in the dark with smaller stationary flamethrowers. Eventually I get out the other side and see the key being blocked off by a bell door, followed by the sea covered by a flamethrower. I'm honestly surprised I got that one unscathed. The bell is at the end of this crusher-filled underground section and I can go back and get that key. I find this peach and have to backtrack all over these platforms to get the M. Then after slowly making my way past these flamethrowers on an elevator, I waste that time by dive bombing into the abyss. The switch there puts dots on a bell along the flamethrowers, the bell being used to get the second A. The elevators then take me up to the top where I get a cherry, submit to the end and then the level. This one wasn't any shorter than the last few, but after the previous level taking so long, this one blew by. Last level, Grave Danger, we're getting there. On the left is a slope leading to a hole with a switch that makes a P appear. Getting on top of these thunderclouds gives me the peach to get the first A. A banana door has a switch creating a chain to a cherry getting me the C. And after a cruel section dealing with disappearing coffins and thunderclouds, I get a bell, bounce on top of the clouds and open the bell door for the M. And really soon after, the final A is out in the open. After getting a peach and doing a lot of backtracking, this door has a switch opening up a hole to a series of switches that creates a maze and a cherry. Said cherry opens a door to another switch that creates a series of coffins to a bell. Once I leave, I go back past where I got the peach to get the final letter in the game. I get the Galaxian ship behind the bell door and into the maze. This one's gimmick is that it doesn't have a gimmick, which is nice. And that's all mazes beaten and the game tells me I've unlocked Marathon mode. With that I can free Ms. Pac-Man and leave. I know I really can build this level, but at this point I'm running out of things to say. I see off Ms. Pac-Man and even she won't look her husband in the eye. Time to take on Toc-Man.
You that appeared in my plans for the last time, Pac-Man!
He walks around throwing exploding pack dots and spitting fireballs. I fight back by throwing my own while his create more for me to pick up around him. Every so often after taking damage, one of the freed family members will give me a piece of health, for each do it only once. After taking out 6 blocks of health, he gets pulled to the centre of the arena and steps raised for me to butt bounce his head. He follows this up with his own exploding butt bounce. Hitting all 4 switches around the arena pulls him in again for me to repeat. Once I've reduced him to 5 blocks of health, he starts using his own version of the rev roll. I dodge and hit him with my own. I keep it up until he's finished. He shrinks down and opens up to reveal he's actually a white ghost called Orson.
It's so unfair! You ruined everything! Nobody loves a ghost!
You know, Pac-Man, by eating him after he pours his heart out to you and reveling in it, you're kinda proving him right. So that's the game beaten, but this photo says I have only 95% completion. When I'm sent back to the main menu, I see I've unlocked an outtakes video for beating the game. It's not that special. Now it's time to get that last 5%. Now I've unlocked every maze, it's time to beat them back to back in marathon mode. There's actually more than in the main game. Each world has 3 normal mazes unlocked from the beginning. Another detail is that in this mode, they're all zoomed out like the original Pac-Man. You use the same pool of lives remaining from the main game, which was a problem for me when I ran out on the very last set of mazes after around 45 minutes work. But I get myself 18 lives replaying Corsair's Cove and the next time I manage it. This allows me to see the gallery of the game's concept art. This gets me to 98%, the last 2% is for beating Toc-Man. This does mean however that my save file will always say 98% since I can't save after Toc-Man, and that bothers me. Anyway, that was Pac-Man World. I stand by what I said last episode, it's a fine game but it does have its issues. It was definitely getting a bit tedious towards the end, but it's still fine. It's just nice to have that closure on something I couldn't beat as a kid.